In part one of the assignment, you're asked to create a dust cover for the gearbox that we designed in assignment 3. Specifically, though, the cover needs to be designed within the assembly using the create component feature. It should extend into the gearbox cavity. It's hard to see here, but the cover doesn't just go around the perimeter, it extends between the plates, and it extends a distance of 160 thousandths or 0.160 inches. And it should fit around the plate spacers with a 10 thousandths gap. The plate spacers are the little round spacers that keep the two plates apart. There should be a 10 thousandths gap between the gearbox plates and the dust cover, so the part that extends within the cavity should be a little bit narrower, specifically 10 thousandths of an inch. And there should be another 10 thousandths gap between the outer perimeter of the gearbox and the dust cover. So there's a little bit of tolerance there, so these plates fit in to the dust cover and rest inside, and it's not tight. There's that 10 thousandths gap. And then finally, the outer perimeter of the dust cover should be 0.100 inches thick or 100 thousandths thick and cover the entire perimeter of both gearbox plates as shown. So let's go to the model of the assembly and we will start designing the part. The first thing that I'm going to do is create a plane that bisects the assembly, specifically right between these two plates. And I'm going to have my part be sketched on that plane. So the easiest way to do that is find here where it says create a plane that is the mid plane between two planes. So if I click this and I click a plane here and I click this plane here, it will create a plane that is in the mid plane between those two selections. And then I'm going to go create, and we have a part. You can call it, dust cover, and go OK. And then I'm going to select the plane where I want to sketch, or where I want to start designing. That's not the sketch yet. That's where I want to start the part. Now I just go sketch, and then I can create this select on that plane. It's kind of a little bit difficult to grasp what's happening, but basically we're designing a part and everything else is grayed out, but we're going to use a lot of these features here on the assembly to help us design the part. First thing I'm going to do is just do a project geometry and select one of the plates. And what that does is gives me the plate projected onto the sketch. And I do want to get all of the spacers projected as well, those plate spacers. And so looking at it like this, we now have a situation like this. And so first thing I'm going to do is do an offset. And we know from what I wrote that basically we want this to extend 160 thousandths or 0.160 into the cavity. We also, you could see that if the dust cover extends this far, it's going to interfere with these little circles that represent the plate spacers, and so this part that extends needs to cut around and fit around that. And we want some tolerance, and in the assignment it said we should have a 10 thousandths tolerance. So I'm going to offset a circle here at 10 thousandths and do that at each corner. Okay. So now that I have that, I need to think about how far up that needs to extend, and basically we're going to go not to the surface but a little bit higher, specifically 10 thousandths further. So I'm going to have a 10 thousandths offset here. Then we're going to extrude all of that, and we're going to extrude it such that it fits between the plates. one thing we want to do is measure the distance between the two plates. So we'll go like between here, and I want to make sure I select the right thing, and here, and that is 0.522. And so I asked you to make it 10 thousandths less, so go 0.512. Basically, we're going to hit E for extrude. We're going to extrude this part for sure. It's kind of hard to make sure that we're selecting the right things. We want this selected, and we want these little corners selected. Notice I don't want this, but I want this. I don't want this because this is the gap that that's going to have. And so it will fit around those spacers. So now that I have this, I can go extrude. I'm going to do a symmetric extrude at 0.512 inches. And I'm going to hit enter. And it's kind of hard to see, but basically now we have this little piece that fits between the two plates. There's a little gap between the plates and this, and that's the 5 thousandths on each side, or 10 thousandths. And you can see that it goes down into the cavity between the two plates. If we look carefully, you'll be able to see that there's a cutout here that fits around those plate spacers so that it fits in. Now what we want to do is add on and basically have an extension that now sits on the outer perimeter and goes all the way out to the edge. And so let's measure the distance between the plates, the outer plates, and that's 1 inch right on. Basically what we're going to do is make a new sketch on this plane. We're going to project geometry of what we drew before. Now it's kind of hard to select that because if I select this, that's actually the polycarbonate piece. I want this piece. I'm going to go in here and select that. Let's get a front view so you can see what we have. Basically what we're going to do is just go out 100 thousandths. So 0.1, not 0.01, but 0.1. And then we're going to extrude this in either direction, symmetric extrude, and we need to go 1 total inch. And then we hit OK. And there's our piece. To see a little bit better, I'm going to get out of this part editing. You can see that the part that I'm designing is right here. You can see that this is an adaptive part, meaning it's dependent on other features in the assembly. Now I'm going to hit return, so that gets me out of the editing mode for the part and back into the normal assembly. And to make it a little easier to see, I'm going to hide the work plane. Hide the work plane. And we're going to hide this plane here. And we can see this plate here, the desk cover. We can open up the desk cover separately so you can better see what it looks like. It has this plane visible. Again, I'll make it invisible. So there is the desk cover. So basically the polycarbonate plates fit inside these little spaces and rest here and here. And then the cover fits around everything, and then these are the cutouts to fit around those round cylindrical plate spacers. And then you can change the color, you can change the material. I think I just left mine as generic material but made it dark gray just to make it look a little bit better. And it's going to be 3D printed out of black plastic, so that's similar to what we would see in real life.